Hey everyone, it's Will here from Team Malizia, and we're going to do a quick update on Boris sailing on board Malizia Sea Explorer in the Littoral Bass. So currently the track is looking like this at the morning. The front fleet sailed through the K3 gate last night, and Boris is currently sitting in 4th position, very closely followed by Damien Seguin and Louis Berton, as well as Sam Davies, and has about 200 or 300 miles up to the leading pack of the top 3 boats. We can see it's a super interesting weather situation at the moment. There's a big low pressure moving in behind them, and it's going to be an interesting last few miles to the finish. So if we take a look at that low pressure system and the current synoptic charts, so you can see here, this is this morning's synoptic chart, and you can see the fronts associated with it. So Boris probably just crossed through the warm front, which is here, indicated by that. And then you've got the cold front further in the west at the moment, but that's moving rapidly towards the east. And with that, that's bringing some really strong winds that's running along this front, and that's going to catch up with Boris and those front boats ahead. And we'll probably see the wind start to shift from currently in the south and then round to the southwest, and eventually it will move in from the west. So it'll probably be a few jibes coming up ahead. 24 hours from now, we can see how this low pressure's moved right across and has caught up and overtaken most of the fleet. Behind it, you've got a second low pressure moving in over here, and that's going to catch up with the fleet before they get to the finish in just over 2 days' time. But there's actually a light wind patch developing on the very southern part of the cold front, and this is what's going to force the boats to sail slightly further north to avoid this light winds. So if we look at 36 hours from now, so the boats will be, Boris is going to be somewhere over here, about 200 or 300 miles from the finish in Lorient. And we can see that this bubble has now formed just off the coast of Finistère. So this area is not going to be much wind. They're really going to want to avoid this and try and stay in the stronger winds before the next low pressure, which is somewhere over here, you can't quite see it on the screen, is going to move in and catch up and bring another strong cold front. What that means in terms of the routing, so 24 hours from now, we're expecting to see Boris somewhere around here. So this cold front that we saw passing over the fleet would have passed over, and now the wind moving in from the west will allow the fleets to jibe on to port, to sail towards the northeast, and avoid this light wind patch, which is slowly developing and which is going to move in off the coast of Finistère, which is why we see all the routings wanting to take this northerly route. And eventually, 36 hours from now, you can see that this second cold front, bringing the southwesterly winds, there's the cold front there, is actually going to give a southerly wind into the finish, somewhere between Sunday morning and Sunday midday. We'll see the first boats finishing. And really, the strategy is going to be about choosing how quickly you want to make this jibe back onto starboard, whether you want to try and be a little bit earlier, but risk sailing into lighter winds and not quite being able to make the finish, maybe having to do another jibe at the end, versus sailing a bit further, staying in more wind, but eventually maybe the boats who sailed a more direct route somewhere here end up being a bit closer to the finish than, say, a boat that went further north. So that's going to be the final call into the finish, and we'll probably decide a few places, given that Boris is only 5 or 10 miles from the boats behind him. But it's going to be very interesting to see, and we're going to keep our eyes fixed on the tracker for the next few days. Cheers.
Allez, bonjour à tous, bienvenue sur PAPREC ARKEA. Dernière journée peut-être pas, mais dernière 30 heures de nav. On est en approche de la France. On commence à voir sur la carte France, Espagne, et on voit aussi du rouge. On va avoir une nuit assez intense, avec 35 à 40 nœuds sur ce bord là qui amène à un empannage. Et au point d'empannage là, ouais, toujours très venté, donc s'il faut, je patienterai un peu pour le faire. Et avec une arrivée samedi après-midi à Lorient. Voilà, donc très excité de l'arrivée. ça va être chaud, donc il faut quand même que je fasse attention à moi et au bateau pour l'arrivée, pas faire de bêtises. J'ai un petit matelas d'avance sur mes deux concurrents qui me permettraient de freiner un petit peu. En tout cas, trop content, on est en bonne position. Voilà, le bateau est en super état. J'arrive à l'utiliser à fond. Là, derrière, ils sont déjà dans 40 nœuds. Ils ont pas mal réduit la toile. Moi, je suis encore petite Jenna qui est GV1 là, il y a 24-27 nœuds. Et je pense que dans quelques heures, je vais me faire rattraper, donc je serai obligé de réduire moi aussi. En tout cas, tout va bien ici. Hâte d'arriver. Forcément, il reste 500 000 jusqu'à Lorient. Donc voilà, on va faire gaffe et essayer de finir ça bien. Voilà. C'est peut-être ma dernière vidéo, je sais pas. Sinon, à demain après-midi à l'arrivée. Allez, ciao.